Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Saturday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock. Well, here, bud. We don't want anything muted again without me knowing. Presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Course Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com. You might have noticed if you were watching AFR on Friday, or if you happen to see on any of the social media channels, got about a dozen different parish hat designs, and we are hoping, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that next week we can work out the very first parish hat party, maybe around the LSU regional or around UFC 302, or maybe both. So stay tuned for deets on that. I don't know why the StreamYard logo just went up there. I didn't want that. Okay. Okay, y'all. So South Carolina beats Kentucky. So LSU, South Carolina, again, winner goes to the SEC tournament championship game. Pretty good game yesterday with South Carolina and Kentucky. Little back and forth in a well played game. But what you saw also was yet another game in the SEC tournament where the pitching continues to kind of get a little thin. Now, the probable pitching matchup that's listed is Roman Kimball and Javen Coleman. So now Kimball is the guy that we talked about before LSU played South Carolina the first time. If you remember, I'd asked my buddy David Cloninger, who covers South Carolina, who the most likely guy was to go. He said he thought it might be Roman Kimball. It ended up being Tyler Pitzer instead. Well, Kimball, just to reset, has a 5.86 ERA, only 27 and 2/3 innings pitched. Now he's got 14 appearances and 7 starts, but still just 27 and 2/3 innings pitched. But remember, this is the guy who has 40 strikeouts in 27 and 2/3, which is good. He's also got 30 walks in 27 and 2/3. So the bottom line is, man, I don't know what else what other bullets they have in the chamber in that bullpen. So this is a day where you would really, really, really expect that LSU should be able to have a day offensively, and especially having the day off. If Javen Coleman starts, cool. It might just be, hey, go get me 3 outs, but you could certainly throw Griffin Herring today. You could certainly bring back Nate Ackenhausen, who threw 35 pitches 2 days ago and had the day off. Gavin Guidry could certainly pitch again today. Fidel Ulloa could come back. I would think, the only pitchers that are off the table, of course, are going to be Jump Holman, and Christian Little threw 51 pitches 2 days ago. I can't see them bringing him back, but everyone else you could bring back. Justin Lohr. Again, I think I said Ulloa, but Ulloa should be able to give you something. You still have Sam Dutton if you need him. So LSU's got plenty of arms that it could go on, lean on. It's going to be interesting to see who might be able to give them some length today. But again, the probable matchup that they're saying is Kimball against Javen Coleman. So of course it could change. We'll see what happens. But Coleman's an interesting one because we've looked at if you look at Coleman's season, he's been a guy that just hasn't thrown. But what's interesting is when you get to this point of this tournament, you generally end up having to lean on guys who you haven't been counting on. So, Coleman's in his 4th year, so he's been around for a minute. But he had the Tommy John, as we know. But Coleman hasn't pitched since the 2 innings he pitched against Grambling. He gave you a third, and before that, he gave you a third of an inning against UNO. He walked 2 in that third of an inning. The last time Javen Coleman threw against an SEC opponent was April the 6th against Vanderbilt in the 13-3 loss. So, you're talking 6-7 weeks since he's thrown against an SEC opponent, and he's only had 2 outings since then. Since that Vanderbilt game, he gave you a third of an inning against UNO and 2 innings against Grambling. That's it. So Coleman, you say he's rested, but boy, he hasn't faced live hitting. He hadn't faced live hitting in a month. I mean, it was April the 30th was the last time he faced live hitters in the game. So what can he give you if they do go with Javen Coleman? We'll see. Okay, let's say some good mornings. Smash that like button as always. We appreciate you for being there with us. If you're new, subscribe up to the channel, Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Carter, good morning. Coleman on the bump. I'm assuming it'll be a bullpen game all throughout. Yeah, just kind of ran through the guys that we assume will be available for LSU, but you've got plenty of arms, good arms available today by virtue of having the day off, which is the great advantage that you have by getting the day off. Ricky Lambert, Wendell Norman, Kyrie, what's good? The infamous Mike muting Matt, Morning Hunk, big hit Braswell. You got to feel good for Braswell, man. Struggled offensively at the start of the season, but really throughout SEC play has been your most consistent offensive player throughout SEC play. He struggled at times with the glove this year, but really over the last 10 games or so, I mean, aside from the ball he booted the other day against Kentucky. I think it was his first error in something like 9 games. So he's playing his best right now, and that's really cool to see. Opportunity to beat his old squad for a second time, knock him out of the tournament. James McKinney, Brian Pinton from Greenville, Illinois. Cortland, good morning. Been waiting for these offenses to come alive. Boy, have they. You got to keep in mind, though, Cortland, yes, they have. But you got to also remember, like, LSU has faced 3 bullpen days against their opponents. They have not faced weekend rotation guys, and they're not going to today either. So I guess the only point being, yes, it's great to see the offense get going. Just keep in mind that whoever you face on Friday in a 2-3 matchup, wherever you're seated, you're facing somebody's ace. So it's just going to be a different challenge when you get to regionals. Bradley, good morning. Alex Day, good morning from Hoover. Bill, good morning. Brett, Jeff, what up, my dude? Southern Extreme Podcast, what up? Austin Kidder, good morning. Stephen Foyle, morning, Matt. Semifinals today. Got a prediction? I mean, the advantage is always heavily with the team that had the day off. It just is. I mean, same thing with Vanderbilt on the other side. They get to play Tennessee, and I think I kind of like Tennessee to win the whole tournament, but the advantage is with Vanderbilt because they had a day off to reset their pitching. So today, LSU is a -175 money line favorite. So LSU is a heavy favorite in this ballgame. It means you got about 175 to win 100. So LSU is a significant favorite in today's game. They should be. I mean, having the day off absolutely is a gigantic advantage because you get a chance to rest and reset your pitching. Brant, good morning. Tigers playing with some lanyap today. I just saw D1 projects LSU as a 2-seed at FSU. I don't know if I like that. So that's a change from yesterday, Brant. Let me check because I think so. There's 2 ways to look at this at a produce. So yesterday, D1 baseball had LSU as a 2-seed in Stillwater. And they were paired. Stillwater was the number. Oklahoma State was the 13 seed and was paired with A&M, who was the 4 seed. So let's see. So they have LSU. Oh, there it is. Okay, wow. So here's the point, okay? Where do you want to fall in your regional? So there's 2 different ways to look at it, okay? So I'm looking at it here. They've got LSU, they say Florida State as a national seed. They've got Florida State as the number 8 national seed. Now, there's 2 ways to look at this, right? So you've moved up to the 2 line here, but you're playing a national seed. So it means it's going to be harder for you to advance out of a regional. However, if you win, that regional is paired with the 9 seed, which is Georgia, who you already beat in this tournament, and you probably have an advantage. Georgia doesn't pitch it very well, and you've got 2 aces. So if Georgia advances out of their regional. So, and if not, and you manage to win the Tallahassee regional, then you'd be hosting the Super by virtue of the fact that you're the 2 seed and the 8, which means you're going to be higher rated. So anyway, you could look at it 2 ways. Would you rather be a 2 or a 3 seed in a weaker regional, but then you're paired with a stronger Super? Or would you rather be a 2 seed in a place like Tallahassee, which if you get through, you've got a better chance of winning the Super because you're not running up against like Tennessee or like the top team in the country. So a couple of different ways to look at that. My personal preference would be how it is here, because you could be sent out to Santa Barbara and that gives you a great chance to win a regional. But then, like, for example, they've got the Santa Barbara regional paired with Fayetteville, 12-5. So they could send you out to Santa Barbara and you can win that regional, but then you got to go to Fayetteville and try to win a weekend, which I don't think you're beating Hagen Smith. So I don't know if anybody's beating Hagen Smith. So I think that's really challenging. Hey, bud, come see. All right. Ready to take off your backpack? Okay. Yes, the iPad. Hey, listen, and then after Dad's show, Daddy and Drew are going to go for a ride in Daddy's car to Daddy's work, ride the elevators, and then we're going to come home and watch baseball and put on your backpack. And after baseball, we can go right around, we can play, and then we'll get the pool. And then later we eat your dinner. And on Sunday, where are we going? Nuns Crawfish Bowl. Yes, we're going to Nuns Crawfish Bowl. New Orleans Crawfish Bowl. The Scone family reunion Crawfish Bowl Sunday in New Orleans. All right. Alex, who gets the ball today? It looks like Javen Coleman is the projected starter for today. Joseph, good morning. Enola, looking for recommendations where to watch the game, either French Quarter or CBD. Please help. Thanks. We got walk-ons on Porges. That's not a bad place. Trying to think where in the French Quarter would have it. If man, there was that place that we went to for our shows, the Coterie. It's in the French Quarter. We did our shows at the Coterie before the Final Four in New Orleans a couple of years back. That was the Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Villanova Final Four. The Coterie was great. Awesome food. Like, it's like 2 different restaurants and bars in one. Really cool, like, street view vibe. If you want to be in the Quarter, I could recommend that. If you're going to be in the CBD, just go to walk-ons on Porges. Can you bring to Daddy? Okay, hang on. I'll be right back. Okay, come on. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see. Hey, Dad, good morning. Michael Castello, what's good? Bubba Smith, Father John David Mathern, Mernon. Any word what happened with the Tennessee MSU chatter? Interesting, this kind of classical stuff follows Tennessee. Yeah, if you missed it, so there was a bit of a benches clearing situation that didn't come to full blows, but I think the umpire and the coaches did a good job of trying to diffuse it. I don't know what happened, what was said in that situation, but it's not interesting that it keeps happening in Tennessee. It's exactly what it is. I mean, Tony Vitello is a jerk, and his players model his behavior, and so they're jerks, and that's why all this stuff happens with Tennessee. They're jerks. I mean, it's not a surprise at all. Let's see. I remember going to a place that had a big screen, giant pizza. Seth, where's Muso's wedding going to be? How about it, man? Matthew Elijah Muso. We were talking yesterday on AFR, kind of just kidding with Muso. So Muso went on the blind date with one of the young ladies who was entered into the Matchler contest. The I'm sorry, what? Okay, now he's gone. Anyway, so the winner of the Matchler that didn't work out, but there was another young lady who I had suggested that he pick as the winner. And I randomly, about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, brought it up to him like, hey, it was 2 weeks ago on Friday. Would you want to, like, if I circled back to her, would you want to go out with her? He's like, sure, I'll go on a date. So I kind of just cold emailed her because I had her email from the Matchler deal and was like, hey, no radio promotion, no Matchler. Just would you just want to go out with a good dude if you're still single or whatever? And she was like, yeah, and she was totally cool about it. And so they connected and went out. They went on a date last week, Top Golf. And so anyway, so we were talking yesterday, just joking with Muso about I was going to get married to her and what are their kids' name? Are they going to name their kids Matt and Ryan? Me and Terry were in studio. Anyway, that's what he's referring to. Rick Newman, happy Memorial Day weekend to you, Drew, and the fam. You were right. I was wrong. LSU's gelling at the perfect time. LSU's pitching has stepped up. Pitching, we all expected. Kudos to you. Got a Rick, to be honest, man, I don't really remember what you said. I think there's a lot of people that every year do that whenever a baseball team goes through some skids or bumps. And no matter how many seasons it happens, it's like some just never learn their lesson with baseball, man. You don't bury a team. It's why the whole must-win thing, I say it all the time, like it's never a must-win until it is, because as long as you keep playing, you got a shot. It's baseball. Henry Gordon Bennett, more Matt. Did you ever find out Chase Shores is on the postseason roster? I did not find out if Chase Shores is on the postseason roster. Remind me, and I'll find out. All right. Morning, Matt, from about 20 minutes from Hoover. Awesome, man. Y'all enjoy the game. Everybody's making that trip. That's awesome. Guy Brooks, good morning. Taylor, relatively new listener. Can you explain why Muso's song is Barbie Girl? Yes. So when Muso came onto the show, I said, Muso, we got to pick your drop. What's it going to be? He said, I don't care. I went, fine. Aqua, Barbie Girl. What's the most embarrassing thing I can think of in that moment? So that's just what popped into my head. And he was like, no. I was like, nope, you didn't care. That's it. And he kind of pushed back against it. And then I explained to him, and to his credit, he's the lesson, he's learned the lesson and taken to it. But it's a very hard thing to do something that is memorable in radio or in media. I mean, think about it. I do 15 hours of radio per week. That's not even including morning scone and nightcap and everything else I do. Most everything, like 99% of everything I do, is forgotten. So it is very hard to find the thing that hits. So I told Muso back in the day, I was like, if you can find something that is inherently mundane and forgettable, like a drop, a rejoin, and make it something that's memorable, you've done something, you've accomplished something. I was like, people talk to him about the Barbie Girl thing all the time. He's almost identified by it now. So he's embraced it. But that's why. It was just a split-second decision on my part to say, what's the most embarrassing thing I can think of? I spit that out, and there it was, and it's worked since. Jacob Willis, what's good? Dennis Payne, good morning. Taylor, read that one. That's the one we just read. Teresa, depends who in on today, but do we have plenty to put out there? I guess you mean pitching. Yes. So we talked a little bit about that at the start. So Javen Coleman gets the ball. You could bring back Griffin Herring, no doubt. You could bring back Ackenhausen. You could bring back Ulloa. You can absolutely throw Guidry today. You could bring Lohr back again today. You have plenty of arms. You have Dutton available too. You have plenty of arms to get through today. Dennis Payne, what's up? Mac, softball team, smash and bob. They're not the Lady Tigers. They're just the LSU Tiger softball team. But yes, they were awesome last night. 11-1 over Stanford. They were facing the best pitcher in college softball, and they won 11-1. So the softball team, Beth Tarina, 1 win away from Oklahoma City in the Women's College World Series, which is awesome. I'm pumped for them, and hope they get it done today and go to the Women's College World Series and win the whole darn thing. Dennis Payne, go Saints. Good morning. Just tuning in to get your thoughts on LSU's NCAA tourney standing yet. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about that. So, I mean, I think they're on the 2 line now. It's just a matter of where they fall on the 2 line. How high up the seeding can they go? But really, it's kind of a double-edged sword. If you're, let's say, the highest rated 2, that means you would travel to the lowest seeded once you go to the 16. Well, if you win that regional, great, but that means you're paired the supers with the number 1 national seed. So, would you rather kind of be somewhere in the middle, where like D1 baseball has LSU as the 2 seed in Tallahassee, who they have as the number 8 national seed? Well, if you win that, then you're paired with the 9 seed. So the supers become, it's like the regional. And do you want an easier regional but a tougher super, or do you want to be somewhere in the middle of that sliding scale, if that makes sense? Alex, South Carolina has a heavy left-handed lineup. Jay loves the left-on-left matchup. Another reason why, look, in LSU's got a ton of left-handed pitching. It's also Griffin Herring and Nate Atkinhausen and Lore. I mean, you've got a lot of arms available today, and left-handed arms. Go Tigers. Yeah, Coleman is the projected starter today. Robert Collins, morning, Matt. Me and the boys are watching old clips of Ben McDonald last night. Those are the days. Joseph Fallsgraf, Aaron Hornsby, morning, Matt. Already got the pits lit and the beer going. Let's get this one. Love it. I might throw something on the grill today. Fish, what's good, man? Contractor BR last minute decision 1 hour from Hoover with the wife. I love those stories. Let me tell you a funny SEC tournament story. So y'all know that Richard Condon and I have worked together forever. We've been great friends and known each other for a long, long time. Like my first day in radio in May of 2003, I met Richard and we've been great friends since. And then around like 05, 06, Richard's son Ryan was in high school, and he kind of looked up to me, as a guy that was already in the profession. And so as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, Ryan looked at me as like a 24, 25, 26 years old, kind of like as a big brother type deal. And so Ryan would travel with us a lot. Like we would take, Richard and Sue would let Ryan come with us to road trips. Like he came with us to Atlanta for SEC championship in 05. A lot of different stuff. Sometimes Richard and Ryan and I would go to stuff like Ryan and I drove to the Arkansas game in 06 in Little Rock. The 3 of us went up to Chicago for the NFC championship game in 06. So we did a lot of stuff like that together. Well, the funny story is there was one, it's in it piggybacks what Contractor BR said, last minute decision. So when Ryan had to be in high school, he had to be like a senior, or maybe he was just out of high school. What year would this have been? Maybe 05. No. Anyway, Ryan called in sick to work to go to the championship game of the SEC tournament. Well, he got tickets right behind home plate. I don't remember how he got tickets right behind home plate. So anyway, if you're watching the game, like the whole game right behind home plate, there's Ryan Condon, yeah, like right behind home plate, just being an obnoxious, 18-year-old, whatever. Needless to say, his boss saw and fired him. I can't remember what year it was, though. Anyway, Deborah, good morning. Watching the Crown Plaza Dance Recital weekend. Okay, go Tigers. Let's see. Love the Tommy White Travinsky Canes commercial. Donald Lamy leaving for a week-long cruise. There you go. Enjoy, Donald. Glad to see you here, man. Carter, is today single elimination? Yes, today and tomorrow. Obviously, single elimination now. So the weekend is you win today, you're into the championship game tomorrow. You lose, you're done. Scott Barnes, good morning. If LSU loses today, they don't get a loser's bracket. Correct. No. So once it goes to the weekend, it's single elimination. Once you get to the semis. Brian Penton, we're the softball team. Yep, talked about that a second ago. Cortland, saw that, talked about it a second ago. Kelly, happy Saturday. Let's see. Michael Cook. Dennis Payne, I heard Tanks was 0 for in the last game against South Carolina. That's bound not to happen again. Yeah, so Tommy White, but listen, I'd say this, man. Tommy White was 0 for 6, and he did crush 2 baseballs as well in the game. One was it looked like he had an opposite field homer. The guy went over the wall and brought it back. I mean, it was an incredible catch. But the point I made after the South Carolina game 2 days ago was on a day where Tommy White and Ashton Larson, 2 of your best hitters, combined to go 0 for 11, you still scored 11 runs on 13 hits. That's a great sign for LSU when you're getting production throughout the lineup and not just relying on Tommy White. Tiger Diver, morning Scone, do you think now that school will pay athletes, they'll hold them to contracts that they have to stay at the school? No. Again, this isn't a collectively bargained employer-employee relationship. They're not being paid salaries. This is a revenue share of the revenue created based on the work of the student athletes. This isn't salary. It's not contract labor. It's sharing in the revenue that they deserve to get a piece of. And I had a long take on this yesterday on AFR. We got it up on all the social media channels if you want to go see it. But it's comparable to what the Olympics went through 40 years ago. The whole idea of amateurism, which at one point was legitimate. They weren't professionals. And then the Olympics became a full-on billion-dollar organization, and telling Olympic athletes that they can't do Wheaties commercials or make any money was just absurd because everybody was making money except the athletes. You have the same thing here. So yes, sharing in the revenue is the right thing to do. And it's something that didn't have to come down to this if the adults in the room over the last 40, 50 years would have been doing the right thing as revenues continued to escalate. If they had been doing the right thing all along, instead of continuing to grow the revenue and suppressing the voice of the free labor, then you would never have gotten to this point. But ultimately, something was going to happen. Congress, attorneys were going to get involved, and the free labor was eventually going to stand up and say, this is crap. Why are coaches making $10 million and athletic directors making millions and everybody's making millions of dollars and we get nothing of the sport and revenue we're creating? So you can be romantic about the way things used to be. You could say it's ruining college football, but here's what I know. Here's what I know. Interest has never been higher. Ratings have never been higher. Revenue has never been higher. So despite all the NIL and everything that's ruining college football, you know what you're going to be doing on Sunday, September the 1st? The same thing I'm going to be doing, watching LSU USC. Anyway, Stephen Foyle, do you think Jay will pitch backwards in a regional? No, I don't. If he threw Skeens against Tulane last year, I think he will throw jump in a 2-3 matchup for sure. Let's see. Joseph, Larry, Cortland, Steven, what's up, dude? About to start tailgating in Hoover. That a babe. Hey, man, if you're Steven, I don't know if you're still there, man. I realized that comment was about 15 minutes ago. If anybody's in Hoover, I'm curious. Give me a kind of a scene setter, man. Here we are less than 2 hours away from first pitch. I'm curious how many LSU fans made the trip. It's certainly going to be more LSU than South Carolina today. It should feel almost like a home game today, I would imagine. Rocky, what's up, my dude? Donald Amy, what's up? Austin, playing in Tallahassee Regional sounds tough. Yeah, I think just on reputation, but I don't know that there is an easy regional. And again, like, can you go win a 2-3 matchup with jump? Yes. If you get to the marble game against Florida State, you're throwing Holman. Do you feel good about that? Yes. So I like LSU in a regional. Go Saints, A. Xander, Clayton Knight, Antron, good morning. Oh, that's a good one, Clayton. You can go to Manning's in the CBD. That's right there in the what am I blanking? Fulton Street. Antron, good morning. Will do, man. Have a great day. Brant, I take going to FSU for regionals with a better probability of hosting supers. Yeah, Brant, and someone was asking yesterday about, has that ever happened? And I was like, I'm sure it has. I just can't remember off the top. And then I was talking to Musso about it yesterday, and he reminded me it happened last year where both regional hosts lost. Tennessee won the Clemson regional, and then Southern Miss, I can't remember whose regional they won, but if you remember, then Tennessee and Southern Miss played in the Supers, and Southern Miss outbid Tennessee for that Super regional. So the Super ended up being in Hattiesburg. So that happened last year. So it has happened. Michael Cook, Derek Hudnall. Good morning, Derek. Hope you're doing great, man. Let's see. Jamie Leday, Matt, is Coterie and Nola. Yes, it's in the French Quarter. The Coterie, it's on Bienville, on Decatur and Bienville, Coterie. Food was awesome. We had breakfast, lunch, dinner there over the course of the days we were there. Food was awesome. And the bar vibe was very cool too. The place where we were set up had big screens behind the bar. So if you want to get a table or sit at the bar, either way. So the Coterie and the French Quarter, Decatur. It's on the corner of, I'm pretty sure it's Decatur and Bienville. It's right on the corner. It was a great spot, man. And it looks like, breakfast 8 to 11, lunch and dinner 11 to 9. So they opened at 8. So they're open. A good craft beer on tap, too, if you're into that. Good spot. Really good spot. Let's see, Cortland, how does LSU get issued warnings for celebrations? Tennessee players approach the opposing dugouts, roar their mouth, and get no warning. I don't know if they got no warning. And I don't really even care, Cortland, quite honestly. Whatever. I mean, Tennessee's going to Tennessee, and, it just makes it easier to laugh when they lose. Brent, shout out to Nichols baseball team playing for the Southland Conference. All right. Wait, Colonels. Rocky, happy Memorial Day weekend. Everyone some gave all. Absolutely, man. It's why we pause on Monday for sure. Hoping the regional is on traditional TV. I might have to DVR due to my daughter's activities, or just watch it on your phone, brother. Bradley, okay. Brett Shaq hates Matt. That's the drop, though. This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt. Austin, it's the drop. We have two drops that we play on AFR for me. It's Shaq saying, love you, Matt. And then another one going, this is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt. God, that's been a long time, too. That was in the old studios. That had to be 2016. 2015, 2016. Nick Macaluso, Tigers win. Do they pitch jump with regionals around the corner? Okay, Nick, here's my point about jump. Now, if you say don't throw him, I'm with you. It would be a calculated risk, but here's how you look at it. I'm not going to tell you what they will do or should do. I'm just going to tell you how you look at it, how you frame this. Okay, if they win today, you just threw jump on 4 days rest. So if you get to Sunday, jump's available again on 4 days rest. But you're playing Friday. Regionals are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then the Mondays if necessary. So you're playing Friday in a 2-3 matchup where you would like to pitch Gage jump. So do you throw jump on Sunday and then have him go Friday again on 4 days rest, meaning he would have pitched 3 consecutive times on 4 days rest? Maybe, but the stakes next Friday are dramatically greater than Sunday winning an SEC tournament championship. Now, you could put Gage jump out there again if it's a bullpen day for him, a scheduled bullpen day, and you could let him go throw 30 pitches. Maybe they get you 1 inning, maybe they get you 2 innings. And replace his bullpen with an outing in the SEC tournament where he throws 30 pitches. That's a possibility. And I don't even hate that idea. I would not let him extend. I certainly would not let him throw a full outing. But could he throw 30 pitches, 40 pitches, get you through the lineup once? Okay. Like I could hear that argument. The other thing is you could say, shut him down and just be ready to go next Friday because it's far more important. But I think a lot of that is just listening to the jump. How does he feel? And the coaches get paid a lot of money to manage that, and I think they will manage that. So, you have a huge advantage today on the mound, and tomorrow really depends on who wins. And that, like, honestly, it's Tennessee Vanderbilt on the other side, and Vandy had the day off. So while I think Tennessee is a better team than Vandy, Vandy kind of has the advantage of having had the day off. But do you want Tennessee to win today? Because then they have to use even more of their pitching. I don't know. But from an LSU perspective, I think you can consider throwing jump in a modified, like, bullpen day type role. What?
That is
Santa Claus?
Yes.
That is Santa Claus. Okay. Drew just came to tell me that's Santa Claus. Oh, he's watching videos of Santa Claus going, ooh. Okay. Kyrie, tell RC to tell Ocho to stop ducking you. I know, man. I'll shoot Ocho another note today. See if I can get him. There you go. Jacob, sorry, jumped on the live stream late. Didn't get the notification. What time does the game start? Noon Central. So we are an hour and 45 minutes away. Santa Claus's last name? Santa Claus's last name is Santa Claus Clauserson. Drew wants to know everybody's last name, and now he wants to know their phone number. Like, he'll run back in here and go, what's Santa Claus' phone number? He wants to know everybody's last name and their phone number. It's like, once he realized everybody has a phone number, like, when he loves, like, watching blowers, like the lawn crew with the blowers. He'll watch blowers videos on YouTube, and he'll come up to me and goes, what's Blower's last name? I'm like, he doesn't understand that, like, it's a piece of equipment. It doesn't have a name. He just thinks Blower is its name. So we're like, Blower Samsonite, whatever. What Blower's phone number? 7248932. Anyway. All right, y'all, please smash the like button if you would. Subscribe up to the channel. 349 watching live. I love that. Thank y'all so much for being here. As always, if you're new, subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page. Share the posts. Shout out to Parrish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. We got Parrish pinned in the chat. Wait, come see. I want you to ask me again. Come see. Come see. What do you want? What do we want? Santa Claus?
Yeah.
What do you want? Ask me the question. Santa Claus phone number?
Yes.
555
No.
7423.
No.
No? That's not his phone number? Told you he was coming in and asked Santa Claus' phone number. Santa Claus' phone number. I don't know why he's watching Santa videos. Okay. Elijah, what's your opinion on NCAA going to rev share model? Elijah, go to the 1045 ESPN Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I did a 15-minute segment on it yesterday. I gave you my entire opinion on it. But the Cliff's Notes is, I think it should have happened years ago. People blaming the kids for being greedy, the student athletes for being greedy, are completely misguided. That we're in this mess because the adults found a way to scale a revenue model and all get really, really rich. And the athletes finally stood up and said, why are y'all getting rich? That's ridiculous. And the people who keep saying, well, you get an education. Yeah. And there was a time where that was a great trade-off. And that's not the time anymore, because revenue and spending have gotten absurd. When you're doing billion-dollar TV deals, like in a day and age when there was one game on TV a week, and people spent $15 to buy a ticket to go. If you want to see the game, you had to buy a ticket. Okay. That I could understand. But when you start doing seat licenses and suites and every game's on TV, and then you're adding an 11th and then a 12th game to the schedule, not because you want competitive, but it's another gate receipt and more TV inventory to sell to drive up revenue. Y'all, like, you have to realistically look. The adults did this. The adults found a business model that they scaled, and they've done a great job doing it, but they did it without cutting in the labor, and that's a problem. Michael Clark, how do you feel the consensus will be on Yeski now? Michael, I mentioned this last week. I've heard some whispers that, maybe Yeski might move on after this year. And I don't know that it's a he'll get fired situation. I'm not saying that. Maybe it's a hey, mutually agreed upon, find another space. And the thing is, they hired Yeski, who's got a great track record. I mean, Yeski he was great with Jay at Arizona. He was the national championship pitching coach at Oregon State. But for whatever reason this year, if you look at it and you go, who's really improved this year? I mean, Christian Little's probably the only one. So, I think, Jay hired Yeski. It was his third pitching coach in as many years. And I think the idea was bring stability to that spot. But it just was a disappointing year. I don't think there's any way around it. I mean, you've gotten hot late, which is awesome. And maybe this run, if they make a deep run, steadies that noise a little bit. But, my assumption was he was going to be fine and he'd be back because he was hired to bring stability. But, a week, 10 days ago, some of the conversations I had were more like he may be looking around to see, and there might have been interest in Nate Yeski to some other places out west that might be looking to bring him back to the West to be a pitching coach. So just something to follow away. Again, I'm not reporting anything. I'm not telling you it's happening. I'm not naming schools that are interested, but just some of the rumblings were that, there were, let's say, schools inquiring about getting Yeski to go back out west to be his pitching coach. That much I can say that. Austin, Matt, I prefer manageable regional, tough super regional because games 1 and 2 is our pitching strength. That's true, but remember, you're going to be facing somebody else's ace as well. But you're right. Ryan Thibodeau met with Joe for 2 hours yesterday. Great meeting. Told us the Terrio Kubota Lake story. Hilarious. I don't know that. Terrio Kubota Lake story. I don't know that one. You might have to fill me in if I'm missing it. But thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it very much. Joe's awesome. Of course, Joe with Parrish. Joe's our ops manager who basically helps run the day-to-day. Scheduling, materials, crews, jobs, all that stuff. Joe's awesome. Joe Morales, he's awesome. So, Angela, did I miss an announcement about who's starting? Yeah, Javen Coleman is the projected starter today. Let's see. Chuck Oliver thinks since you're now paid professionals that eventually there will be player acquisition regulations so teams can simply take whoever they want. I'd have to hear more about Chuck's take. I didn't hear that. Cliff, what's good, man? The first white hat with the vent holes. Okay. So that's like the tennis hat. All right. You know what, Chuck? I got one in my car. Let's see. When am I going to see you? I'll keep it. So all the ones Terrio brought yesterday to the set, talking about the Parrish hats, I took them all. I got on. My dad wanted one. I brought there was a mint colored one I brought home for Erica. Our guy Jerry DeLucky had already sort of earmarked one. My uncle Mike wanted one. So there's a lot of. But if you want one of those, the white ones with the vent holes, it's like a tennis hat, like a dry, like a dry fit hat. I'll get that one to you, Chuck. All right, Brian, are you going out, Matt, to do the show? Are you going out to do the show? I'm going to miss that one. Sorry, man. Not as concerned about it ruining football as I am that it's going to eliminate other college sports. Now, that's true, Cortland. 723-9186. Yeah, I mean, Cortland, that is going to be an inevitability. Like, athletic departments having to share $20 million in revenue with its student athletes, eventually they are going to cut other sports. They're going to cut non-revenue sports. Michael Blasco, Paxton Kling getting 500 bats at Sacramento State next year. Stop. I mean, he is one of those guys that I do think could transfer. Because, let me give you an example. Let me give you a what example. So Mac Bingham hit 350 at Arizona State last year, or Arizona last year. He comes into the SEC and he hit 200 in conference play. It's a different level. It might, I'm not saying he will, but it might suit Paxton Kling to say, hey, go down a level, like go to Tech or a place like that and go get 200 ABs and, or, whatever, 250, whatever it is, that number, get that number of at bats and hit 300 and show your hit tool a little to scouts, because his glove and his speed and his arm are all plus. Like, it's just the hit tool, the hit for power, the hit for average aren't there. So if he can go somewhere and prove he can hit, then it's going to boost his stock. He's a draft eligible sophomore. Or do you come back here and try to hit in the SEC? And if you do that, then you're a first round pick, because the glove, the speed, the arm are there for Kling. It's just the offense isn't. Danny, bought my ticket for tomorrow as a precaution. Hope they pull it out today. Cliff, Fighting Beth Arenas. Yes, sir. Brian, Las Vegas. Got it. Angela, we are going to be in Vegas for shows. We're on our way. I'll try to update when we get there. Been good LSU crowds all week. Damon, Carrie, hats are fire. Terrio went a little crazy and just bought like a dozen different designs of them, but we'll find out which. I love this one a lot. But there's a couple of them that I really like. Got my jambalaya simmering right now. Should be ready for game time. That a babe, Danny. Bird of Giraffe, whole conversation makes me think of the South Park athletes bit. When Cartman was like the plantation. That's so good. Todd Harris, what's up? Joseph Fallsgraph. I live in the Panhandle. If we loot 1-0 and lose to Florida State in something else, I'll never hear the end of it. I prefer not to play in Tallahassee. That said, I have no idea how good FSU is. I haven't seen a lot of Florida State this year, so I can't tell you either. Chris, good morning from a rainy Pigeon Forge. About to have our first game of Cal Ripken. We did that a few years back with nephew Eli, who went and played up at the tournament there in Pigeon Forge. Great spot, man. Let's see, Lonnie from Cutoff in the house. What up? What, baby? What? How many Mondays to what? You tell me. 4. Got it. We're gonna go to Daddy's work after we're done with Dad's show. In 4 Mondays, we're gonna go to Pensacola, Florida, to see Man Drummond. In 4 Mondays. Okay. We're actually going on Friday. He doesn't know that yet, but we don't want to confuse him. Won't NIL help more baseball players play and stay in college and help bring a better product across the board? There's no money in the minors. Your thoughts? Lonnie, I think that's absolutely so. There are certain guys that are never going to show up on campus and who aren't going to stay. For example, Tommy White is a junior. It's his draft year. He's going to be a top 50 pick. He's gone. It's Michael Brummond. Dr. Michael Brummond. Okay. So there are some there are some players that they're going to go no matter what. I think the guy that you have a chance to keep is the draft eligible sophomore who may come back, right? And then the junior that's a good college. I think here's Braswell. Braswell's a good example. Braswell's a junior. He might get picked, but he may not. Could you give Braswell a 6-figure NIL deal to come back and play a senior year? Maybe. It's it's a Kramer situation. Kramer as a junior went in round 32. Didn't sign, was offered $300K, whatever it was, didn't sign. Came back for a senior year in 17, went in round 4, and the money he got to sign was less than half of what got in round 32 because you have no leverage. But played another year, went to the College World Series, Championship Series, all that sort of stuff. I think it's just, thank you. Yes, Southern Miss won the Auburn Regional. Thank you. So I think those are the types of players that potentially NIL could keep. That is Man Brahman. Okay. All right, y'all smash that like button. Look at Cliff trying to comment from all platforms. It's all right. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I love it, Cliff. Look at Cliff in a tie. Look at this guy. Look at that. I mean, That guy, and there's YouTube Cliff. I love it, dude. Cliff, I don't think I've ever seen you in a tie, man. Okay. What about Jump Sunday and Saturday? Maybe Murder Giraffe, but I mean, it sure feels like Jay is leading with Jump. I mean, if he's your first guy, they're going to go with Jump. I just think you got bigger fish to fry, man. As nice as it would be to win the SEC tournament, it's not as important as setting yourself up for the regional. So if you want to throw a Jump on Sunday, you do it. You just have a very limited outing and have him ready to go Friday in the regional opener in a 2-3 matchup. And then you have Holman in your marble game. Cliff, what pluckers are we doing the parish hat party? Don't know yet. Terrio? Ryan Terrio. Okay. So Cliff, it really is going to depend on it's going to depend on game times and all that sort of stuff. When we can make it work is next Saturday. Remember, next Saturday is our UFC watch party at the Sportsbook at L'Auberge for UFC 302. All right. Lonnie, yesterday in AFR, you said basketball and football are the only sports that make money. Was this a blanket statement for all universities? LSU baseball, not a rev generating sport. So LSU baseball is about a break-even sport. They turn a little bit of a profit, but it's less than $1 million. Let's see. So baseball. Baseball last year generated $4 million in revenue and had $6.2 million in expenditures. So baseball last year at LSU lost $2.1 million. Like football made $49 million and spent $44 million. So football made $5.6 million. You see the point? Like this was 2023 for the fiscal. So the fiscal year that ended June of 2023. I'm telling you, man, it's just like LSU last year, LSU athletics lost $34 million. That can't be. Oh, that was team sports. Hold on. The total, here you go. Total revenues, 119. They spent 67, so they netted 51. That's all that's that. So just the team sports, 58 million in revenue, lost 34 million. So 93 million in expenditures. When you look at the administration, which is events, insurance, everything, right? Tradition fund made 24 million, revenue of 30 million, SEC distribution 33 million, right? All that stuff. They made 119.5 million, spent 67.9 million, netted 51 million. So, but baseball alone lost $2.1 million last year. Kevin, good morning. I mean, if you think that's something like gymnastics is always the one, like gymnastics packs out the PMAC, right? They just won a national championship. Last fiscal year, Gymnastics made $517K, spent $2.5 million. Gymnastics lost $1.99 million last fiscal year. Gymnastics, which packs the PMAC, but you only have 5-6 home meets. Tickets are $5. You don't make any money. So it's such a misconception. Like every sport, track and field lost $5.6 million last year. Swimming lost $3.4 million. Like you're looking at okay, how do you get your line items in order? Well, track and field lost $5.6 million, swimming lost $3.4 million, softball lost $2.6 million, women's soccer lost $2.5 million, women's volleyball lost $2.39 million. You see my point? Like that's what's going to happen. Those sports that are just a sieve that suck money and don't generate anything, like track and field generated $38,000 in revenue. It lost, but cost $5.6 million. I mean, it ain't hard to see what's going to happen. Kevin, acoustic morning scan. Billy, what's up? Gregory. All right, y'all. 10:30. We're gonna have to get going here because I gotta get Drew dressed, get him to work, ride some elevators so I can get home for noon in time to watch this game. Do you think this has been my point all along? Yes, programs are going to get cut. It may not be this year, but it's going to happen. The biggest question is Title IX. So for whatever you spend on a men's sport, you have to spend on a female sport. So likely what's going to happen is the men's non-revenue sports get cut. So like first anyway, men's golf, for example, men's golf lost $1.07 million last year. Swimming lost $3.4 million. Men's tennis lost $1.08 million. Just mentioned track and field. I mean, you already have an inordinate number of women's sports compared to men's sports because you have football, right? Football accounts for 85 scholarships in the bulk of your revenue. So you've already cut a tremendous amount of men's sports. The only men's sports you have are basketball, baseball, golf, swimming, tennis, track and field. Like that's it. See, Austin said, Matt, it takes 10 minutes to walk from your seat at Allegiant to the sportsbook in Mandalay Bay. I'm sure most fans would be fine waiting. Here's the thing, Austin. We are hard timed at 90 minutes on that show. So as soon as the game ends, we go live with Whiskey and Wine. And then Eagle 98.1 Game Day post game starts 90 minutes after the end of the game. So we fill that 90 minutes on Whiskey and Wine. So we are a hard-timed 90-minute show. As soon as the network postgame, the 90-minute network postgame ends and Hannah-Griff picks up, we fill that time. So as soon as Hanny picks up, we're off on Whiskey and Wine. So we and I doubt very seriously that I could go from my seat to the sportsbook in Mandalay and be on in 10 minutes. Like to get down escalators, fight crowds, get across the street, do all that stuff. So we'd have to decide, how we're going to make that happen. But we're going to make it happen. Golf South, baseball's on the chopping block before gymnastics. No, absolutely not. Like football, basketball, and baseball are going nowhere. But what I'm telling you is and that's why Title IX is going to be interesting. And I'm going to tell you the most important part of this that is an eventuality is when football breaks away. When football breaks away and exists as its own entity, not governed by the NCAA, and that's going to happen. Then all these questions about football as it pertains to revenue and the athletic department and all, like it goes away. But similarly, then you lose all the revenue from football for the rest of the athletic department, and then you're relying on men's basketball, the NCAA tournament, rev share. How do you make baseball more profitable? And what's more likely to happen is all the sports become a eat what you kill type deal. You've got it like, if gymnastics wants to fly private, you better tap into your donor base to be able to increase that giving for gymnastics sort of thing. All right. 60-minute Whiskey and Wine, no problem. Some is absolutely better than none. We're going to do it. It's just a matter of when and where sort of thing. Okay. Let's bounce. I know y'all got a lot. See, you said it isn't Title IX about scholarships. It's about all revenue share. So about not revenue share, it's about all equal distribution of revenue. Scholarships is only part of the revenue spend. That's something a lot of people don't understand as well. Like the scholarship when a student athlete gets a scholarship, that tuition that expense isn't waived. The athletic department pays the university for the scholarships. That is, aside from coaches' salaries, the biggest expense of the athletic department is scholarships. So, like, here you go. Scholarships. That can't be the full number. Here it is. $5.1 million for football scholarships alone. The amount that LSU Athletics has to pay in scholarships to the university last year, the year ending in fiscal June 2023, was $14.8 million. So LSU Athletics paid the university $14.8 million in scholarship expenses for its scholarship student athletes. That is the biggest expense outside of coaches' salaries. Salaries last year were $36.8 million. Now, there's a supplies and expenses, which is at 33.6, but that's so many different things. I'm talking about a singular line item. Okay, I got to go. Y'all have an awesome day. Let's go Tigers. Let's go win, punch our ticket to the SEC championship game tomorrow. Fired up for it. Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page. As always, shout out to Brock. If you need an orthopedist, remember, after hours clinic open nights and weekends, so you can get by. If you need an orthopedist, get by Brock. And of course, Parish Construction and Roofing. You know what I'll do tomorrow? I will play for you tomorrow the Parish jingle. It's not finished. It's almost finished, but it's not quite finished. But I will play for you tomorrow the Parish jingle. How about that? Be here tomorrow for Morning Scone, and I'll play for you the Parish jingle. All right? Y'all have an awesome day. Let's go Tigers. We'll see you. Peace.